Well, good morning from Southern California to folks who have joined from throughout the world. We appreciate you taking time to join us for this 2019 industry focus on strategy and capability for the emergency call taking and dispatch industry. My name is Mike King, and I have the privilege of managing our global effort for emergency call taking. I'm joined today by our public safety business partner manager, Britt Bromley. And we are going to just take some time and walk through the areas that we believe are areas in which the PSAPs across America and throughout the world can capitalize on Esri technology to help you better perform your functions and be more prepared for truly dispatchable addresses. We have with us also Ray Umali from our team, who's managing this webinar, and we may hear from Ray from time to time. But again, thank you for taking time today to be with us. We really think it's important to first lay a little bit of groundwork of why Enterprise GIS makes so much sense. Each of you in your individual PSAPs and individual responsibilities supporting PSAPs are creating powerful systems of record. We really look at those of you who are GIS managers and others who are preparing address databases and feature data to support where the patrol areas are or the dispatchable areas for fire and EMS, that you're really doing the heavy lifting. That information is coming from a myriad of sources, and as you create this intelligence from your CAD and from your records management system or other systems within your organization, I like to, as a retired police officer, use law enforcement a lot, but it may be that you're creating gang databases or critical infrastructure databases, but all of this information becoming systems of record, oftentimes we have difficulties in then creating systems of insight where we can start to understand what information is there, analyze against that information, store that information and share it with the appropriate people. And one of the ways that we're going to talk about today that we're doing that is through data hubs and organizational accounts where you can maintain the authoritative responsibility for your data, but share it up to those that you may choose. And in some cases, that may be through open data standards information that you share with the public. It may be very secure and sensitive information that you only share for to those who have a need to know. But finally, that you do have this system of engagement or a way to really share the information with others within your organization. We wanted to share with you the 5 areas that we are really placing a lot of emphasis at Esri this year, and provide you with a little insight into what we're doing in those areas. First and foremost is information surrounding address and location. It really is the most critical part to the whole puzzle that you try to solve each day. So we are spending a great deal of time in improving how you manage and create and share your address databases. When we speak of improving local address accuracy, sometimes this is confused with the PSAP environment that talks about location accuracy. And we're not talking about that cellular call, for instance, being located and then routed, a 911 call being routed to the appropriate PSAP. We're speaking more today about once you have received that address, how you get a truly dispatchable location that you can move people to. As shown in the little image at the bottom, we've become, I think, pretty good across the United States and throughout the world in getting addresses to the centroid of parcel property. But because we now have coming Z-axis information, or we have not only the X and the Y coordinate, but a Z coordinate that gives us location information in elevation both above and below terrain, it's important that we start to look at things in a 3-dimensional way as well, so that we're not looking at a high rise of hundreds of stories and only showing points of data stacked on top of each other in a two-dimensional way, but we can show it in both space and time. We at Esri are also spending a great deal of time improving geocoding, adding alias fields, and naming conventions that make it easier. I really am excited about our ability, for instance, in ArcGIS Online, to be able to do calculations like saying, I need the location 150 feet west of the Platte River, and having it be able to geocode to those locations. So what we've become accustomed to is being able to say, I need the medical center in Cincinnati, Ohio, and seeing a list of medical centers, we can really start to get granular in identifying those. It's also helping you understand more efficient ways to take your locally authoritative data sources, which we believe are the best data source to use because you're making changes often daily or if not hourly to those address databases, but realizing that if you find times when your geocoding can't solve a particular problem, that we can cascade into other geocoding sources to be able to help you solve problems. We really feel there's a need to improve the ability we have of taking manual data uploads to our CAD software and making those digital transformations of data. And one of the ways that we're doing that is through the promotion of data hubs that allow you to still own the authoritative data, but choose who you can share those with and the methodology that would be used to share that information. A great example is this one from Homeland Security, which is an open data portal that allows you to go out and access information about all kinds of critical infrastructure sources. There's also a secure version to this for public safety that allows you to get more detailed and in-depth information. But these data hubs provide you with the ability to share geographic information quickly with your partners and in cases where you share with the public. Los Angeles has done a great job in this area, and we're seeing these hubs pop up by the hundreds in regions throughout the world. So we hope you're taking advantage of these kinds of technologies. So these are the kinds of things that we're trying to do in the area of address database management to help you improve the quality of your maps and your GIS and your problem solving from an address standpoint.
So thanks, Mike. So throughout today's webinar, we're going to have about 5 questions that we're asking everybody who's attending to provide your response. So for the first question is, how often is your CAD address data updated? So if you please take the time and respond to that question. So the results are in, and I guess I'm not too surprised at this. It crossed the board with monthly, the most popular response, and weekly to monthly. So again, thank you for everybody for the responses. So Mike, how can Esri help?
Well, I really appreciate seeing that information because this highlights, in fact, some of the frustration that we hear from PSAPs around the world, and that is that they're operating on address databases. Sometimes it could be a year old. And the moment we do a manual transformation of data up into the CAD, it is outdated. And this is, I think, what really highlights the need to consider what your strategy is to move toward a more digital transformation of that intelligence rather than having to manually do so. At Esri, we're spending a great deal of effort in our research and development labs and in our solution labs to help you with tools to help solve these problems. One is the address database management tool, which these are really awesome tool sets because they not only provide you with overviews of what the tool will do, but it gives you requirements documents so that you know what hardware is needed, what is going to be required of you in order to implement some of these changes, and then provides you with downloads with all the code. We've gone on and created some really valuable tool sets like the local government information model, But we have tools for address crowdsourcing, field verification of addresses, and on, as you can see from the list. So we would really encourage each of you to look at our solutions.arcgis.com website to see the things that are available for you to download free of charge if you're an Esri license holder and take advantage of. More importantly, we would encourage you that there are account representatives in every corner of the world who are poised to come in and provide you some support. We thought it might also be kind of interesting to share with you a little bit about ArcGIS Hub and some of the capabilities that that provides. This is a place where you can have maps and applications that you can use throughout the organization. It can be something broader than your organization where you're sharing perhaps with city officials or county officials or others that you deem that would value or benefit from that. In addition, it's a place to collaborate and a place to capture data and input, and really a place where there are tools for innovation. So if you go to the web and look up ArcGIS Hub, you can explore some of those things, including being able to take this hub readiness assessment, which I think is pretty neat, because it gives us this ability to go in, you answer a few questions about some of the issues that you're challenged with, and we can get you the results back and connect you with someone that can help you download the information that you need to go ahead and start installing a hub within your organization. Britt, could you take a minute and kind of help us understand what our partners are doing to help in this area?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everybody can tell we're spending a lot of time on the address database topic here, and data is critical. Good data is critical, and we have many partners who developed solutions and or services to meet any needs when it comes to this topic. And whether you're looking for a do-it-yourself solution, whether something you install in your infrastructure, or you look to a partner to provide a hosted service, we have dozens of partners that can support you. So this image or this slide just shows just a sample of these partners that support address database. So when you look at the top level, the addresser from the Bradshaw Consulting Services Company is an enterprise address management solution with validation tools, and it's designed to work with multiple jurisdictions. Then if you go to the lower left, you have digital data technology, and that performs address quality checks and then provides any errors or back to the data editors for corrections. Then you look at the upper right, and you have location age, which uses ArcGIS Pro in the maintenance process to support the enterprise address database strategy that benefits, public safety departments and other departments within that customer. And lastly, we have Allied Technical Consultants, and they have an ArcMap extension for the maintenance of addresses for the next Gen 911 database. So, the one thing I think is, this is just a handful. We have, I'm going to say, dozens of partners that really built some great solutions and focused their business around helping with address database management, making sure that data is accurate and up to date. And I really have to mention some others that really play a key role in this space, and that would be Geocom, 911 Data Masters, West Safety Service, Michael Baker International. Honestly, the list goes on. So, I'm going to make this comment now, and I'll add it towards the end. But we have a lot of great partners that support our users in this space, and they bring domain knowledge. And if there's any questions about, what partners that you might want to use, our contact information will be at the end of this webinar, and we're happy to address any questions you have about these partners. So, Mike, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Britt. I think this really highlights, too, the commitment not only that Esri has for those of you who have the capability or the bandwidth to go in and do these things yourself, but to know that our bench within the partner community is deep, that truly understands your investment in Enterprise GIS, and you can take advantage of that by leaning on some of them. So thanks again, Britt. Let's next talk about this issue of borderless boundaries. And one of the challenges that we have found is that too many of our jurisdictions, and we're seeing this number reducing, but too many still rely on address databases that end at the jurisdictional boundary. The challenge this creates, as shown in the little graphic here, is if we had something like a 911 injury accident call that was routed to a PSAP, but it in reality was the wrong PSAP, if we're relying only on the street centerline data, that call is out in this no man's land that's visualized here. And unless the telecommunicator has knowledge of that area or goes out and does some additional research, they really don't know who to send this call to. It's much easier if it's the agency next door, but if it's 500 miles away because of a misplaced VoIP call or something else, it can be really problematic. We have some strategies that we think are really beneficial. Some things that are as simple as just introducing an ArcGIS Online map in the background so that you have that operational understanding. Others are creating buffers around your PSAPs of neighboring PSAP data so that you at least can visualize what happens close by. And of course, please know that at Esri, we work with and continue to support national efforts for PSAP boundary databases and information sharing, and we look forward to seeing this evolution that's beginning in being able to share more of that information. I want to share just one example in North Carolina, an amazing county surrounded by 7 other counties. The PSAP director there told us recently that as many as 50 calls a day are misrouted to their PSAP and need to be moved out and reallocated to the appropriate PSAP. What this picture is showing is what they've done to help mitigate that problem. They've created the 10-mile buffer around their jurisdiction, shown in white, to accommodate those calls that fall closely within their PSAP boundaries. What this has done is help them reduce response times, and we at Esri believe possibly help save lives by getting a first responder there more quickly. I want to turn it over to Britt for another question.
Thanks, Mike. So this next question is about this topic. Tell us your CAD's street centerline and address data. All right, so the results are in. So you know, this is actually this is promising. I guess I was expecting that the most popular response would be our data only covers our PSAP jurisdiction. So there seems like there's a lot of collaboration with adjacent communities and jurisdictions. So this is really promising looking, Mike. So
this is great news, and I think it validates the thought leadership that we have tried to promote for the last couple of years of doing this. We compliment each of you. 38% of the country is still struggling with this challenge, which tells us there's still work to be done. But wow, how exciting! Well, here's a couple of things at Esri that we're doing to help in this regard, and that you might find valuable for your organization. First, we have tools available in both desktop and online to help you bring, as shown in the upper left corner, your individualized siloed data sets into one output that looks seamless and has the ability to share that information. Again, this is available in ArcGIS Desktop. It's also available ArcGIS Online, and for those of you who have made the move to ArcGIS Pro, it also is available in Pro, where we can see here in this example side-by-side comparisons of 2-dimensional GIS 911 data and 3-dimensional 911 data in the San Francisco area. But what an awesome way to be able to start to migrate and manage this data in both 2D and 3D as we try to solve these problems. Britt, what are our partners doing in this particular area?
Yeah, so a lot of good things, and I'd say whether it's from statewide projects to single agency projects, we're seeing a common thread where our partners and our customers are leveraging secondary data sources, and it's a very common message that we're hearing is that ArcGIS Online is one of those secondary data sources, and I think also to mention is when we look at our partners, what they're doing, a lot of them they see the obvious move from working on outdated address databases and data management into this borderless boundaries. So it works together. It makes a lot of sense. So a lot of these partners that I mentioned earlier are also focused on this borderless boundaries topic. But just to kind of mention a few here, the Michael Baker International Data Mark product assists with local and regional jurisdictions to maintain and validate their GIS data. And then if we move to the right, you have GIS Inc., which took a more of a collaboration approach in Roanoke, Virginia, by working with the county and the cities of Roanoke and Salem to improve data quality issues. And then if you look at the lower left, Pulsium is addressing boundary issues with a single agency, as highlighted in the difference between the police, fire, and ambulance response districts. And lastly, when we talk about these statewide efforts, True North aggregates and quality checks GIS data from 100 emergency communication districts to build a statewide data set for PSAPs, but also that data can be used for other departments across the state. So that's just a handful of great work that our partners are doing. And one thing I will add also, Mike, is that Esri definitely has some tools to help. I want to say do-it-yourself customers, but for those who maybe don't have the GIS resources, these are the partners that can help you out in these efforts.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really exciting. Thanks, Britt. So let's talk for a moment about the consumption of the Internet of Things, sensor data, and other data important to this evolution and migration that we're making toward next generation 911. Esri is absolutely committed to open standards. We are not proponents of making maps available that are subject to cyber terrorism effects, though. So we embrace open standards and we want to take advantage of that. We are truly in the same camp as I think the PSAPs around the world that worry about how do we do that in a way that provides protection to our systems. We believe in the value of taking all of the sensor data that's becoming available and then providing real-time analytics for it. But whatever those systems are, they need to be flexible in both the ability to consume and also to analyze or visualize the data. Some of those data sources that people are taking advantage of today are below. I won't read through those individually, but the exciting thing to know is that we now have the ability to have these hardened infrastructures where we protect the data in a 911 environment. But because of many of the capabilities of Esri's web applications and other things, we can now start to create viewers that consume secure, protected data, but also can consume public data like social media or live weather feeds or traffic feeds and others. And one of my favorite examples is this one from the city of Oakland in California and the fire department, simply bringing together active calls for service. These are brought not from a production CAD environment, but from a SQL or backup environment, and brought into our dashboards in real time, where we can start to add other things like CCTV information, or we can go in and add live traffic feeds where we can know every 2 minutes what the state of traffic is. In this example, we're seeing the addition of things like Waze data, being able to look at Waze public information against secure call for service information. And of course, the ability to take advantage of Esri's palette of maps that you can look at, everything from aerial imagery to topography and other. It's a really exciting time. Not to mention the ability to take paid-for services of imagery like Nearmap and being able to put that in and have real high-quality imagery on the ground, or flying your own drone over the area, collecting in real-time imagery from your drone and using that in these applications. Really exciting ways to start consuming and taking advantage of this true evolution of 911 data in the next generation movement. Recently, we published a blog or an article where we talked about this evolution and the fact that at Esri, we really hope what our idea of next generation 911 today will be completely different in the years to come as we learn more and embrace more and maintain these open standards where we can consume new kinds of data feeds in a safe environment. Let me stop there for a minute. And Britt, if you wouldn't mind, let's ask another question.
All right. So the next question is your PSAP receiving text or other IP-based information? And the results are in, and it is what I was expecting. Heavily on the yes, which is great, but it definitely opportunity for those who are not to move in that direction. So, Mike, I'll hand it back to you.
That's great. That shows at least half of the population we can theorize are taking advantage of that. The downside means that there's a lot of work, again, still to be done. Here's a couple of ways that Esri is helping in this regard, and we hope you might take advantage of. One is we are investing a great amount in real-time GIS, the ability to consume in real-time sensor data, whether it's traffic or weather, but not only consume it, but to be able to analyze it. It used to be that we would simply report that a storm was coming to a community. Then we got to the point that we could say it's anticipated, I live in the mountain states, that it's going to lay down a foot of snow at the ski resorts. Well, today we can actually say there's a rainstorm coming that's going to lay down an inch of rain, but more importantly, that inch of rain in an urban environment is going to mean that these particular roadways will start flooding versus a rural environment where maybe these rivers will begin to swell and cap. It really gives us this ability to start analyzing big data in real time to make decisions that we hope protect the public and, of course, protect the first responders who are taking care of these issues. Britt, what are some things that our partners are doing in this area?
Yeah, Mike. So things have come a long way since the just the phone call, and more information being shared available to the 911. It's, I think it's becoming more commonplace to see video feeds into solution as well as other data and sensor information. And I think we're just going to see that continue. For example, biometrics, with wearables, I think that kind of data is going to be starting to available to different solutions for the 911 market. But specifically, let's kind of focus on a handful of solutions here, work done by our partners. On the upper left, the Geocoding Smart City Map solution provides 2D and 3D indoor and outdoor maps, and it features a third-party integration for near real-time officer tracking and live video streaming, giving a situational awareness during events. And this happened to be Super Bowl 52, and it was able to keep all those Philadelphia Eagles safe during that event. Then, if you look at the lower left, you have a Geographic Technology Group, and that has built dashboards to provide a snapshot of real-time activities, including calls to service, whether it be fire, police, or EMS. And they also incorporating a live traffic camera feed. And lastly, iNet Public Safety, they allows for support of text as well as video and audio into their CAD. And these text and video audio files are attached to the event as received from the callers. So again, we're going to see more and more information that is poured into these solutions and provide to customers and our users going forward.
That's awesome, Britt. And what a shameless plug for your hometown Philly Eagles. So congratulations for working that in.
I had to, now that they're out of the playoff for this year, so I had to say something. So
that's awesome. Well, let's take a minute and talk about the need to migrate from two-dimensional ways of mapping to three-dimensional, we have a myriad of tools that are available for agencies to take advantage of moving from a two-dimensional way of looking at things to three-dimensional. This will also help us as we look at improving location accuracy indoors and providing routing indoors. And so just know that Esri invests about 30% of every dollar we earn on research and development. That's unheard of in the software industry, and we are so proud of that, because what it means is that we are always going to be on the cutting edge of solving problems, and we hope that equates to beneficial things for each of our customers. I like in particular the diagram in the lower right that's animated. The upper pictures are just showing the ability to measure things in two-dimension and three-dimension, but on the upper right to show how to build a three-dimensional building space. But my favorites are at the bottom, where we're showing some of our new tools that we've released on line of sight kinds of calculations and analysis. In the lower right-hand corner, the ability to do sniper interdiction and understanding, know where the risks are on the ground from different sniper locations, or to use that for anti-sniper kinds of events for major city event management. The lower left was showing the movement of dignitaries, for instance, throughout a theater, and showing visualizations of where their risk levels increase based on movement. We are really excited about the work that's being done in the three-dimensional world, and that is now available to you as a customer, both at the desktop level and via the web through tools that we have created, including ArcGIS Earth, which now has a new beta version of some really exciting capabilities that we hope you'll take advantage of. Here's a great example that we asked our prototype lab to do with 911 data from the city of San Diego. And what's really exciting about this is we're taking the challenge of Z-axis data in identifying location. We're pretty good at looking at horizontal uncertainty, but now with Z-axis information, we can actually show vertical uncertainty as well. So today we're able to show that you can say this particular color is between the first and the fourth floor in the northwest corner of a building, something we've never been able to do before, and it's just really exciting to us. Britt, let's ask a question.
Sounds good. So, is your CAD software ready to consume Z-axis location information? And the results are in, and I think this is what I would expected. Not that I'm looking at crystal balls or anything like that, but I think a lot of it is the not sure, and that's something I think we can work and help our customers. But I also see this as a real growth area. So, Mike, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Great. This is probably a great time to just acknowledge that one of our challenges at Esri is how we help those CAD solution providers that the 911 community throughout the world relies on. And we continue through Britt's efforts to work with those providers to make sure that these kinds of capabilities become intrinsic to their solution. So obviously support from you back to your CAD provider that's necessary are helpful for us. I think they're also helpful for those CAD companies who have to allocate resources to make some of these adjustments. Esri is doing a couple of things that you might find helpful as well. Oops, I hit a couple of back buttons there. One is we have spent, again, a great deal of effort creating tool sets that allow you to create, manage, analyze, and share your 3D data throughout the enterprise, whether it's simply that you just need to work with the data to better understand it, or that you're analyzing that data. It is our tool sets that we have created, including the ability to work with things like terrain data or LiDAR data. But the bottom left one is the exciting one to me, is that we have tool sets available now to help you create three-dimensional maps for your communities, where you can start to analyze intelligent information in both time and space. And we hope you take advantage of that. Brett, I know that our partners are working in this area a lot as well. What are they doing?
Yeah, they are, Mike. And as I kind of mentioned before, this is a big growth space. We're hearing from customers and partners talking about 3D, better location accuracy, and we have we have a couple examples here, but I'm hearing a lot of partners that it's on their roadmap. They're developing solutions and service that are currently in development. So, the 3D, this topic has been kind of that wow factor for some time, but it is real now, and it's here. And so let's take a look at a couple of partners to make mention of. So Soma Global in the upper left is integrating with the Rapid SOS Next Gen 911 Clearinghouse to access additional information for enhanced device location for wireless calls. In the bottom left, in New York City, the Data Vision Group has enabled 3D floor geocoding that can be used to estimate elevation within the buildings. And lastly, on the right, Indoor View is creating detailed 3D maps that capture all and anything within the building, including walls, doors, alarms, sensors. I could keep on going on. And their application allows for the navigation from floor to floor within the building's data. So back to you, Mike.
That's great. Well, we're nearing the final stretch. One of the things that we are so pleased with at Esri is the amount of customers that are embracing web applications and mobile capabilities that we provide. So we wanted to just dedicate a few moments to that and remind you that with your Esri software comes the ability to download easy to configure web applications that can solve a myriad of problems for you internally. We also have joined with the FirstNet efforts that are going on, and Esri's APIs and SDKs are now available through the FirstNet developer portal, so that those that are developing tool sets on top of FirstNet have the tools they need to take advantage of Enterprise GIS through Esri. And then finally, we're working with FirstNet in their marketplace and also with Apple and Google to continue to make our applications available for download and easy use. Some great examples of web applications are of course one of my favorites here, and obviously something that's near and dear to Britt, and that is this map from the city of Philadelphia. And here we see a couple of interesting things happening. If you notice on the upper left corner of this map, where I'm kind of hovering my mouse around, we have Waze data. This is what it's showing is that these maps become a canvas where unsecured data like social media can be brought into the map. But below that is secure data coming from the 911 system showing live calls for service. There are metrics across the bottom to help us analyze problems as they go on. Across the top, we see a CAD queue that shows how many calls are waiting to be dispatched, how many have officers on scene, and those where officers have been dispatched. What I really like about this, though, is down the right-hand side are some additional kinds of feeds. One is the current road closures in the city, where the city has torn up a road to work on a water main or something else. So we're seeing interaction with other departments within the city, but that the efforts that they're involved in could impact a response time for a police officer. So where are those obstructions that need to be routed around? And then on the right in the center, citizen tips that are coming in through the 311 system or through a tip-a-cop notification system or other kinds. In the background, you can see that we're changing some of the map tiles to show aerial imagery or nighttime imagery. And then down in the right-hand corner, we just brought in a feed that we happen to have 939 different cameras showing in that area. Really powerful way to bring data together in one environment. This is another favorite of mine as a former profiler. I just love these kinds of cases. This is a serial killer case that's decades old in South San Francisco. The thing that was so exciting to us at Esri is we learned about this secondhand from the GIS manager, who shared that the city was preparing to go out and canvass neighborhoods on this 30-year-old case and just simply go from house to house and ask people several questions about whether they were living there at the time and if they remembered anything and if they would talk to investigators. They originally had a plan of just notifying dispatch of each house as they cleared it, or keeping a log that they would create an Excel spreadsheet or something from. The GIS manager spent about 2 hours and created this web application that was viewable on any kind of mobile device, whether it's iOS, Windows, or Android, and now even BlackBerry, and this dashboard, so that in real time, as people walked from house to house, they could see the metrics and the parcels changing in color as it was used and not used. Well, we were thrilled, and of course, my response was, this is great. Now that you've used it and you've only invested 2 hours, you can simply throw the app away. In the case from what was reported to us, an investigator said, no, this would be a valuable tool for canvassing neighborhoods on missing juveniles or other kinds of problems. And so it became part of their workflows from day to day. But the real message here is that these applications can be built in a very minimal amount of time. They can be operationalized, and then they can be put on a shelf without having to make huge investments in retooling some of your major systems. This example is just an industry platform configuration of tool sets that we've made available for PSAPs. And in here, there are different kinds of web applications that are built, and we'll just explore this quickly. Here in the GIS Manager, there's a series of tool sets for address database management, corrections of addresses. And one of the questions that we had when meeting with Alpharetta, Georgia some time ago was, how do they make changes to bad addresses? And the response at that time was that it was usually handled through calling a dispatcher and notifying them the address was changed, who then wrote up a document that went to the address database manager, who corrected it. In 20 minutes time, we created just a simple form, a geo form, that made it possible for them to go out and collect this information in the field. So they could go in and they could add an address to the information on here. They could put notes in this description that the driveway happens to be on the south side of the residence, not the right side. They could flip between aerial imagery maps or street maps, but the thing that was really exciting is it included the ability to go in and place a point on the map where that change needed to happen. And if the point was in the wrong location, it simply could be moved to the appropriate location and then saved. A simple form that took about 20 minutes to create, but solved the problem within the organization and hopefully became a workflow change for the better. Another example is the fact that we have these powerful templates that have been put together to solve different problems. This is showing an event plan in Utah County in the state of Utah. And in that, it gives us the ability to create things for the event, put where first aid stations are or where personnel are situated. This example here is showing that information brought into a dashboard on the far right in the aerial image and being interacted with on an iPhone 10 in the field where information is being added. In the black background, you can see live calls for service streaming in across the county, live Waze data, and other information, including metrics across the bottom that can be customized on the fly. These tool sets have created the ability for agencies with minimal instruction to create really powerful tool sets that they can use in a number of different areas. And these, frankly, have been built for every industry in public safety. So there are free tool sets already for emergency management, law enforcement, fire, EMS, and others. I thought that this might be an appropriate time to just mention with these web applications some of the things that Esri has been doing with FirstNet. And so let me just briefly say that you can go to esri.com/FirstNet and learn more about what Esri's relationship with FirstNet is and how we're providing capabilities for first responders that are using the FirstNet network. You can also go to firstnet.com and see Esri information, but there are two places that you can look to kind of learn more about our relationship. But I thought it might be more important just to share with you a couple of examples from 2018 where Esri technology was used on the FirstNet network. The first is the bottom left, and this was a major homicide investigation in the state of Alabama. The thing that was so exciting about this was it was in a rural setting, and a portably deployed FirstNet cloud was established for communication and data in that area. This this dashboard that you can see in the background is highlighting a couple of really important things. One is the overall situational awareness that was provided to everybody in what would otherwise be an area with no broadband connectivity. The blue points on the map are points of movement by personnel throughout the theater. And in this case, there were about 170 people using Survey 123 and Workforce from Esri with this Esri dashboard to see in real time the collection of evidence and the movement of people throughout that theater. A really neat example of Esri technology in a portably deployed environment working, and it worked because of that FirstNet network. The one on the far right is another great example, and it was in the NCAA playoffs. And it's just the thing that's so exciting there is that it was in tandem using fixed established broadband networks and portably deployed FirstNet networks simultaneously to help solve communication problems. And then, of course, one of the most powerful would be the things that we saw during Hurricane Florence and Michael last year, where Esri technology was used by federal, state, and local partners to communicate and collect damage assessments and physical condition of people being victimized by the storm in real time. And I just want to comment, Britt, before I turn it over to you for a question. This was the first time in our recorded history that we truly had real-time connectivity in an environment of natural disaster where all broadband and Wi-Fi capability had collapsed because of the impact of the storms. But because that network was stood up in that portably deployed way, we, for the first time, had real-time analytics going on during the event, which undoubtedly increased the solvability of problems. We hope saved lives, and we hope kept our first responders safe.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. There's some really good stories there for sure. So our last topic of our webinar is around mobile capability. So this question is, how do your first responders report bad addresses? All right. So the results are in, and it's dominated by notifying dispatch. So Mike, how does Esri help here?
Yeah, I think the Alpharetta example is probably the greatest example we could have then, that with a 20-minute geoform, this could be a form that is given, that could be filled out on the MDT in the patrol car or in the fire rescue truck. It could be done on a mobile device, and again, any kind of mobile device, but it provides an accurate understanding plus a visualization that could include photographs and pinpointed positioning on a map, and that becomes a record. One of the challenges that we've seen with giving this information to his dispatch office is that needs to then be recommunicated to the address database manager, and just that simple process of that person in the middle could create enough confusion on the transference of information that the GIS manager or the database manager ends up having to call the officer on their day off or sending an email to try to clarify information. This is a great example. 68% that are that are pushing that information through dispatchers, if we could just automate a simple form that's free to use and takes 20 minutes to configure and allow those telecommunicators to focus on important things like getting people to the right location and providing support, could be, in a way, revolutionary in and of itself. Some of the ways that we're helping, though, we have developed so many web applications and templates that people can take advantage of. Again, we just encourage you to reach out either to Esri for support in this area or go right to our website and look at it. There is, these web applications do about 80% of what most people say they would like them to do, but they're configurable and really quite easy to configure and adjust so that they fit local needs. What are some things that our partners are doing in this area, Britt?
Yeah, so not a surprise, I think, to anybody, but mobile is everywhere, and the majority of our partners have a mobile application, and in many cases, multiple mobile offerings, and then no longer it's just for the MDT, but partners are deploying mobile applications on pretty much any device that they can. So, in the upper left here, you're looking at Motorola Solutions offering a new, I'm going to say, a night view experience for their new FlexCAD mobile solution. And then below that, we have FirstDo, who is providing first responders with easy access to pre-incident plans on any type of mobile device. And in the upper right, we have the Inform Mobile from Central Square, which is designed for in-vehicles experience and also can be viewed on tablets and smartphones. And lastly, Bergman is developing mobile web applications that can show many different data feeds, including AVL, calls of service, traffic, weather, etc. So, we could have really probably had a couple dozens of little images of different mobile applications, but this gives you just a sample of what our partners are doing and are capable of doing. And, a lot of them are building these solutions as part of an enterprise suite of solutions to support the 911 CAD markets. So I'll pass it off to you, Mike. Oh, I guess it's not to you. It's still me. So I want to just first and foremost thanks for our partners generally, and specifically for this event, this webinar. So Mike and I and some of our colleagues reached out to our partner community to provide us with some screenshots and some information how they're using the Esri technology. And it's amazing how they are using our technology, whether it's desktop server, web app builder, data reviewer. They're using our technology in so many different ways to support our end users. So a big thanks to all of our public safety partners. And we really have a great ecosystem, and a lot of these partners are focused purely in public safety. Some, do public safety, but also support other industries. But regardless, they're really important to, Esri, and we really leverage and lean on our partners in the CAD and 911 space. So again, thank you very much for all of our partners supporting today's webinar. And if there's anybody happens to be on this call who is not a partner but is maybe curious to learn more about what it is to be an Esri partner, my contact information will be at the end of this webinar, and I'm happy to have a discussion with anybody who's interested in learning more about what we do. So off to you, Mike.
Great. You can see Britt's email and contact information in the lower right corner, and of course mine in the middle. We wanted to just make mention that there are a number of events that Esri's supporting, either with booths or other things. So please, if you're attending any of these events, let's link up and get to know each other better. It'd be fun to learn some of your challenges and how we can potentially help you. And we'd also invite you to take advantage of downloading our free ebook, which is 5 Ways GIS Empowers Next Generation 911. I'm not sure how to do it on an Android. If you got a QR reader and hit that, it'll take you right to where you need to go to get that. If you're using an iPhone and it has newer software on it, you simply open your photo app and hold it up, and it will route you to the right place. Ray, I saw a huge number of questions streaming in. it might make sense for us to respond individually, but are there any things or any questions that you think we should take a moment and answer now in the remaining 2 minutes?
Yeah, real quick, Mike, you talked briefly about address database management. One question came in about, can we use or start to use Collector and ArcGIS Pro for this workflow?
Absolutely, and actually there are some really neat tools out there to be able to not only collect that information and pinpoint the location of driveways or other access points, but we're seeing customers that are using even our technology and just collecting in areas where there are, for instance, dirt roads in a county setting, and they've never had streets identified, and creating their own street network based off of tracking the GPS movement of their patrol vehicles through those areas, or flying drones and tracking the pathway that the drone is following. So yeah, please reach out to us through our emails here, or to your Esri account representative, and they can help you embrace some of that capability.
And another one real quick before we end, Mike. How difficult is it to integrate Waze data into your dashboards?
We actually have a partnership with Waze where we have been doing this for a number of years now. Agencies would contact Waze and enter into an agreement to receive that data, and then it's as simple as just pointing that data to our maps, and it becomes a web service into our solutions to where we can manage it and analyze against it. So the great news is Waze and Esri are very close, and we've been providing Waze data in our maps for a number of years now.
Great, great. And like Mike said, we will follow up with all your questions following the webinar. Back to you, Mike.
Great, thanks. We appreciate everyone taking time, and we wish you the very best as you make this evolution. Please lean on Esri and let us help you where we can. And thanks to Britt, and thanks to Ray, and everyone. Please have a great day.